Hey everyone, so a few weeks ago I uploaded a video called 5 DC characters who need a My Adventures With show. Now the support on that video was amazing, thank you all so much. But one comment kept coming up again and again. And it's clear you all want a My Adventures With Wonder Woman show. And that got me thinking, what might this show look like? The story popped into my head, I've fleshed that out into a bit of a treatment, and so in this video I'm proud to present my pitch for So first of all, if you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so, we'd love to have you here. If you've got any ideas for a My Adventures With Wonder Woman show, drop them in a comment down below. And what do you think about this idea? Love it, hate it? Let me know down below. So how this is going to work is I've split the video into the following sections. So we're going to have a bit of an intro and overview where I go through the main synopsis and the main themes of the show. If you like the sound of that, if you like the sound of what I'm going with, I'd love it if you stayed for the next part, which will be an episode by episode treatment. There's 8 episodes and I haven't gone through like a whole script, or this video will be 3 hours long, but I've got a bit of a synopsis and a few story beats for each episode, and I'll go through them episode by episode. And then at the end, we'll have a bit of a recap and a bit of an outro as well. So if that sounds good, then let's get started. So to give you an overview, firstly, I need to say I have changed a couple of character backgrounds and a little bit of lore, which I know, how dare I deviate from the sacred text, but I think this worked quite well in some elements of My Adventures With Superman. So I hope these changes will fit the tone of the My Adventures With show a little bit better. The main conflict of this show is going to be a war on 2 fronts. So Themyscira and Washington D.C. are attacked at the same time. Themyscira is attacked by Grail, the daughter of Darkseid, who seeks to cause as much death and destruction as possible and fulfill her prophecy. Washington is attacked by both Circe and Cheetah. They both want to kill Wonder Woman, and they're going to try and do that by just causing as much destruction as possible. And then the conflict is Diana's got an impossible choice to make. Does she save one and sacrifice the other? Does she have to decide where her home is, where her loyalty lies? Okay, so the plot overview. This is an animated My Adventures With show set in the same universe as My Adventures With Superman and My Adventures With Green Lantern. There's no major crossover that I'm building to. There is a Superman cameo. If you want to see the details of that, you'll have to wait for the episode by episode breakdown, but this is like a fun fan service type cameo. I'm not building to anything big. I'm not building to a Justice League project just yet. So Diana has left Themyscira. She left Themyscira about 18 months ago, and she now lives and operates as Wonder Woman in Washington, D.C. So her decision to leave Themyscira did initially cause a falling out between her and her family, her mum, Queen Hippolyta. Both of those are trying actively to improve their relationship, and it has improved a lot, but there's still a tension there. But Diana is now allowed to go back and visit Themyscira when necessary, which is something that she wasn't allowed to do before. In DC, she is dating Steve Trevor, who works for the government. So here's the first character change that I've made. So in this story, Steve never crash landed on Themyscira. He never met Diana until she was already in Washington. And most importantly, he doesn't know that Diana is Wonder Woman. Diana knows that Steve works for the government. What Diana doesn't know is that Steve works for the Department of Metahuman Affairs, and he's been given a secret project to investigate reports of an island paradise filled with Amazonians, as well as reports that one of the Amazonians is currently operating in Washington, D.C. So I wanted to include some kind of cat and mouse in this, and I didn't want it to be just a will they, won't they get together. So they're already together. And I like the idea of both of them having a secret as well, so it's more like a Batcat kind of thing, rather where they both got a secret, rather than just like a Clark and Lois. Clark's got a secret and Lois is trying to find it out. So that's what I went with. That's an issue that will get explored episode by episode. Steve is investigating Amazons. He doesn't know that Diana is an Amazon, doesn't know that she's Wonder Woman, and Diana doesn't know that he's investigating her without realizing that it's her. So another character change that I made is to Grail. I wanted to simplify her story and just have her invade from Apocalypse, be allied with her father and the rest of Apocalypse. I know normally she'd be allied with the Anti-Monitor and she'd be against Darkseid, at least at first. I wanted to use Grail. She's such an underrated character. I really wanted to put her in it. But I also, in this series, don't want to spend a load of time going over villains and their story and explaining who the Anti-Monitor is and going into all that. And so to just make it simple, she's Darkseid's daughter, she's from Apocalypse, and she represents Darkseid and Apocalypse when she invades Themyscira. So the ultimate theme of the show would be family, home, and belonging, and the conflict that brings as Diana is trying to find herself as a superhero in the world of man, but also stay true to her Amazonian heritage. In this series, Diana is also going to struggle with being a mentor figure to young women, so we might see a couple of proteges who you might know. Stick around for the episodes for that. In both America and Themyscira, she feels like she's finding herself as Wonder Woman still, and struggles with young women looking up to her because her instinct is she wants to mentor people, but she doesn't know if she's quite ready for that yet, and she's quite ready to give people guidance. So if you like the sound of that, I'd love it if you stick around for the next bit. We're going to go episode by episode. I'm going to give you the beats of each episode. I'll let you know how it ends. It's going to end on a bit of a cliffhanger, and then we'll go through the outro and a recap at the very end. So episode 1, Worlds Apart. We're going to meet this Wonder Woman, first of all, mid-fight, mid-battle. She's fighting Dr. Psycho in the middle of Washington, D.C. Dr. Psycho is using his psychic illusions to try and humiliate her. Diana does quickly overpower him, but his insults cut deeper than she really admits, mocking her outsider status and accusing her of abandoning her people. After the fight, a young girl approaches Diana, uninvited, wide-eyed and excitable. She says, "Hi Wonder Woman, my name is Cassie Sandsmark and I really look up to you." Diana is still feeling the effects of Psycho's words. She snaps at Cassie, tells her it's not safe and she needs to go away, establishing an early tension in their dynamic. Meanwhile, Steve Trevor is investigating sightings of an Amazon in Washington. His apartment is covered in files, photos, and maps pointing towards Themyscira, which is awkward when Diana visits Steve in his apartment later that night. She notices the files, he hurriedly tries to hide them, and they both clearly suspect the other is holding back secrets, which is becoming a bit of a strain on their relationship, and Diana goes home alone. So Diana looks out at Washington from her apartment balcony, all alone, thinking about her mum, thinking about Queen Hippolyta, and thinking about the words that Queen Hippolyta said to her, which is "remember who you are," and she'll repeat that mantra as the episode draws to a close. So episode 2, The Weight of Two Worlds. The episode again begins in Washington, D.C, where Diana, as Wonder Woman, saves a young girl trapped in a burning apartment complex. The rescue is very heroic, action-packed opening to the episode. Once the fire is taken care of and Diana looks after the girl, she investigates and realizes the girl's name is Donna Troy, and she's not just an accident victim, she was actually living under the control of a human trafficking ring. Horrified by this, Diana vows to keep Donna safe and help her rebuild her life. This is Diana's instinct to mentor and protect. Even though she might herself feel unprepared for that role, her instincts took over. After that, Diana receives a summons from Hippolyta and returns to Themyscira. Their reunion is a little bit icy. Hippolyta still makes digs at Diana abandoning her people. Diana defends her choice to live among the humans. Antiope, however, quietly supports Diana, and Diana tells Antiope about Donna and about how worried she is. And Antiope offers to train Donna if Diana ever brings her to the island. So we're setting up here Donna's eventual Amazonian journey, and we're also going to make Antiope a bit of a bridge between Diana's two worlds, a bit of a diplomat role there. Meanwhile, in Washington, Circe, we meet Circe for the first time. She's beginning some manipulation, so magical disturbances that ripple through the city's strange omens. Civilians brush them off, but they feel a bit weird, and Diana suspects someone is pulling some strings somewhere. So we're going to set up Circe as a bit of a looming threat in episode 2, whilst keeping the focus on Diana's more emotional story with Donna Troy and Hippolyta. Steve carries on investigating reports of an Amazonian sighting near the apartment fire. He finds physical evidence linking it to Themyscira. This would be an artifact that's discovered in the blaze. He grows more suspicious of Diana, but keeps his distance for now. His arc is that he's falling for her, he's falling in love with her, but he also knows she's got a secret, and he's inching ever closer to discovering what that is. So episode 2 ends with Diana sat with Donna Troy, trying to reassure her that she's safe. Donna asks, how can you help me? You go home and you fight with your family, how can you help me? This lands hard on Diana. She realizes that Donna sees her as a role model, even though Diana does not feel worthy of that title and Donna does have questions. And we'll end the episode with Circe watching this conversation through a scrying orb, a magic orb, and she'll smile knowingly, which will hint at using Diana's bond with these younger women as leverage in the future. Episode 3, The Hunt begins. So this episode opens with Cheetah, Dr. Barbara and Minerva being introduced to the series during a televised archaeology lecture on ancient Amazonian myths. She's brilliant, she's ambitious, and this all becomes immediately apparent, but so is her frustration. She laments that Amazons have hidden their knowledge and hidden their tech away from mankind. Her research draws dangerous attention when she unearths a minor Amazonian artifact and discovers traces of divine power that are linked to Themyscira itself. Meanwhile, Diana's continuing to struggle with her double life. She's growing closer to Steve Trevor, but she suspects he's hiding something, while also she's feeling distance from Themyscira and her Amazon sisters after those recent tense visits home. Cassie Santamark, on the other hand, keeps popping up wherever Wonder Woman appears. Sometimes she'll help civilians, sometimes she gets in the way. She's reckless, she's idealistic, and she insists that she's meant to be a hero. She's meant to do this with Wonder Woman. Diana tries to warn her off, snapping that the world of gods and monsters isn't for children, which is something that Queen Hippolyta once said to Diana herself. Barbara's obsession escalates. She performs a ritual to unlock the power of the artifact that she's got. The ritual goes wrong, her research partner is killed, and Barbara herself begins to change. So her senses sharpen, her muscles tighten, and she just becomes more primal with a rage that bubbles to the surface. She then crosses paths with Wonder Woman during a museum gala. She transforms completely into the Cheetah, and her and Wonder Woman have a fight. Cheetah is furious at Diana for embodying everything that she has been denied. And that battle mirrors Diana's internal conflict: civilization versus instinct, compassion versus pride. So for Cassie, she's also there, she's everywhere. She sees this clash, and that ignites her hero complex even further. She idolizes Wonder Woman, but she starts to see the cost of having that kind of power. And then we're going to end this episode with Cassie sneaking back to her mother's antique shop, where we see an ornate golden bracelet pulls faintly as Cassie brushes past it. At the same time, in Themyscira, Queen Hippolyta and Antiope receive some troubling news from the Amazons that someone is attempting to pierce the magical veil that hides the island. Episode 4, Daughter of the Gods. So following the chaos at the museum, Washington D.C. is on edge. There's news reports of a beast woman attacking civilians that dominate the news. Diana, now a public figure, a worldwide known figure as Wonder Woman, is being questioned by both the media and politicians. How could this happen under her watch, and how has she brought this to the people of Washington D.C.? The Department of Meta-Human Affairs assigns Steve Trevor to investigate Cheetah's attack, putting him directly in conflict with Wonder Woman, although still neither knows the other's dual mission. Meanwhile, Cassie Santamark's curiosity is now a full-blown obsession. She's convinced that her and Wonder Woman are connected by destiny, and when she examines the glowing bracelet from her mum's shop, she discovers a hidden inscription, a prayer to Zeus. In a moment of impulse and wonder, she repeats the inscription aloud. Lightning flashes throughout the shop. Cassie is thrown across the room, unhurt but changed and empowered. At the same time, Diana returns to Themyscira to seek guidance from her mum and Antiope about the strange magical disturbances tied to Cheetah's transformation. Again, the reunion is tense but warmer than before. There's love between them. They discuss the possibility that someone is tampering with divine relics, and that these actions could be part of a big plot to weaken the barrier between Themyscira and the mortal world. Diana then returns to Washington to find chaos. Cheetah has resurfaced, hunting corporate donors who funded her archaeological dig from before, and Cassie has leapt into the fray, still clumsy but shockingly powerful. Diana intervenes, saves Cassie but chastises her, saying you're going to get yourself killed if you carry on like this. The two argue, ending with Cassie accusing Diana of refusing to let anyone get too close. So what we're trying to do here is center the emotional core on legacy and fear. Diana now begins to understand what it means to be a mentor, realize she's repeating her mum's mistakes by keeping other people at arm's length. Cassie, meanwhile, embodies like the next generation. She's full of heart, but she hasn't got the wisdom, and she mirrors Diana's own young self. And we're going to end with Circe revealed in the shadows for the first time, watching both Cheetah and Wonder Woman through the scrying orb, the magical orb, smiling as she whispers, 2 pawns are never enough to topple a queen, but they're a good start. Episode 5, Threads of Fate. So this episode opens in the aftermath of Cheetah's second rampage. Washington D.C. is shaken and Wonder Woman's reputation is really beginning to fracture. So news pundits question her authority. Is she a hero or foreign demigod acting without oversight? The Department of Metahuman Affairs assigns Steve Trevor a new mandate: track and, if necessary, contain the Wonder Woman. Steve struggles deeply with this order. He's in love with Diana now, deeply, unaware that she's the person he's being asked to investigate. At the same time, Diana is also conflicted. She senses the world turning on her and that maybe humanity will never fully accept someone like her. Meanwhile, we're going to expand Donna Troy's storyline. Diana takes her under her wing after discovering she's been having nightmares about the fire and her traumatic background. Donna then trains with Antiope via remote connection through a magical Themyscira crystal, symbolizing the bridge kind of between the mortal and the divine. She's strong, compassionate, but haunted by the feeling that she's missing something from her past. Circe's manipulations intensify. She approaches Cheetah under a disguise, promising to restore her humanity, a cruel lie which is meant to push Cheetah deeper into her rage. Circe also secretly sows seeds of doubt in government officials through magical persuasion, heightening fear of Wonder Woman, and by the end of the episode, paranoia is fueling government policy. Cassie continues to explore her newfound powers. She tests her strength in secret, accidentally revealing flashes of lightning that attract Diana's attention. This leads to a more maternal or sisterly conversation where Diana finally softens towards Cassie, realizing that her powers are divine in origin and that she might actually be Zeus's daughter. So this episode is about connection and identity. Diana is forced to reconcile her dual lives, protector of humanity and daughter of Themyscira. Steve has a mirror version of that struggle, loyal to duty versus loyalty to the truth. Donna and Cassie represent the next generation learning from Diana's mistakes, while Circe is puppet master exploiting everyone's uncertainty. So the ending beat for this, in a dark, candlelit chamber, Circe performs an incantation over a large map of Earth. Glowing sigils mark Washington D.C. and Themyscira. She whispers, "When gods abandon their daughters, only chaos will raise them." The symbols pulse in unison, foreshadowing the simultaneous attack on both worlds that is to come. Episode 6, A War on Two Fronts. The tension that's been building for this whole season finally snaps. We're in the last 3 episodes now. The episode opens with chaos. Circe's magic ripples through Washington D.C., warping reality itself. Storms crackle through the city as illusions of mythical beasts tear through the streets and monuments. People panic, unsure what's real. Diana rushes to action, donned in her armor in full broad daylight. Her identity as Wonder Woman is now fully public. Meanwhile, on Themyscira, skies darken, a boom tube opens above the island. Grail has arrived, leading a brutal army of parademons, apocalyptic warriors, and the Furies. She declares war in the name of anti-life. Her goal isn't conquest, it's sacrifice. She intends to draw enough blood to prove her worth to her father and fulfill the prophecy of ascension. So then Diana, whilst battling in Washington D.C., receives word from her mother that Themyscira is under a siege, and she faces the impossible choice that she's been dreading. Does she defend her homeland or does she defend her new home? In Washington, Circe and Cheetah's alliance becomes a nightmare. Cheetah, driven mad by Circe's magic, rampages uncontrollably. Cassie and Donna, now semi-trained, try to help civilians, but are quickly overwhelmed. And then in one of the episode's most powerful scenes, Superman appears, telling Diana, you don't have to do this alone. Superman doesn't join the fight, but he saves civilians. It's a brief but moving moment that underscores mutual respect between them and sharing the burden of being heroes of Earth. Meanwhile, in Themyscira, Hippolyta and Antiope rally the Amazons against Grail's assault. It's a fierce battle. Grail taunts them with the knowledge of Diana's absence, calling her the daughter who abandoned her people. Between flashes of combat, we see Grail's own pain, raised in darkness, desperate to earn her place in a world that will fear her. Overwhelmed, Diana uses the lasso of truth to center herself, hearing the echoes of her mentors. You cannot be in two worlds at once, but you can stand for both. She decides to split the difference. She entrusts Cassie and Donna to defend Washington while she flies to Themyscira. It's a bold act for Diana. She's putting her faith in the next generation and in humanity. Steve, torn between his orders and conscience, defies his superiors to help coordinate evacuations, symbolizing his own step towards heroism. The ending beat for this one, as Diana arrives over Themyscira's burning shoreline. The music swells, she descends into battle, blocking Grail's Omega beams with her shield. The final shot mirrors the very first episode with Dr. Psycho, but instead of it being a small-time villain, she's now facing the daughter of a god. Grail smirks through the flames and says, "You can't save two worlds, sister. Choose one to die." And we cut to black. Episode 7, War of Witches. This episode opens with kind of a bit of a recap from the last episode. We've got chaos spreading through Washington D.C. as Circe's magic warps the city into this nightmare landscape. Statues are coming alive, monuments bleed with ancient runes, civilians transform into beasts under her spell. At the same time, Themyscira is under siege by Grail's forces, and Grail taunts Diana, saying that she can't be in two places at once. Diana then makes another impossible decision. She entrusts Themyscira to Donna, with Hippolyta and Antiope reluctantly agreeing. It's a defining moment of growth for Donna and one of faith for Diana, with Hippolyta telling Diana, "You would give command to a child," and Diana replies, "No, to an Amazon." So with Donna now in Themyscira with Hippolyta and Antiope, Diana returns to Washington, giving her full attention to Circe and Cheetah. Cassie insists on joining her now, fully embracing her powers. What follows is this intense, kinetic fight through Washington's warped streets. Circe taunts Diana with visions of her mother. Cheetah is fueled by jealousy and rage. Cassie holds her own, surprising even Diana. During the battle, Steve Trevor, having followed the trail left by Argus, finally pieces everything together. He discovers Diana's secret identity as Wonder Woman, and in a tense standoff with his superiors, chooses not to report it. Later, after the fight, Diana collapses. He catches her and he simply says, "Next time you go saving the world, maybe tell me first." And Diana smiles and says, "Next time I might even let you help." After the battle, Circe is ultimately defeated, but vanishes in a swirl of smoke, promising, "You'll wish that I finished this." Cheetah, however, is captured. Her humanity flickers back just for a moment before she's taken away by Argus. This episode closes on two parallel shots, Donna, sword in hand, leading Amazon forces against Grail's invading army, and Diana, bloodied but unbroken, staring out towards Washington D.C, and she knows where she has to go next. To save both her worlds, she has to return home. Episode 8, The Daughter of Themyscira, the season finale. So Themyscira lies under siege. Grail's army of apocalypse and soldiers storms the shores, their dark energy scorching the pristine beaches. Donna and Hippolyta lead the defense. An amazing sequence that finally shows Themyscira at full power, but despite their efforts, Grail's apocalypse and forces just overwhelm them. Just as all hope seems lost, the skies break open. Diana returns, flanked by Cassie and a fleet of Argus aircraft led by Steve Trevor. The war of gods and mortals clashing, and that begins. So Diana and Grail have a rematch, which is mythic, fluid, brutal. Every strike, you feel the weight of it. Grail mocks Diana's connection to the weak outside world, calling her the daughter who forgot her bloodline. Diana's reply hits hard, saying, "I didn't forget who I am, I chose to be more." Cassie and Donna fight side by side, a younger generation of Amazons proving themselves. Hippolyta watches her daughter lead, not through dominance, but through compassion, and forging these two worlds together. Steve and Argus manage to disable Grail's boom tube generator, cutting off her reinforcements. During the battle, Steve is almost killed by an explosion. Diana saves him, revealing herself fully to both her mother and the Amazonian people. She's not just Themyscira's daughter, she's something larger. She's the Wonder Woman of Earth. The Amazons rally behind her. Together with Donna, Cassie, and the combined might of Themyscira and Man's World, they drive back Grail's army. Grail herself is finally subdued after Diana binds her with the lasso of truth, forcing her to confront her own pain and twisted loyalty to Darkseid. A weak Grail says to Diana, "You think you've won, you haven't seen his shadow." Diana says, "Let his shadow fall, we'll light the world even brighter." After the battle, Grail is handed over to Argus custody, a tense moment between Diana and Steve. They both realise the fragile alliance between their two worlds. Hippolyta is humbled and finally tells her daughter, "You belong to both worlds now. Themyscira's heart beats in yours wherever you end up going." Later at sunset, Diana stands at the edge of a repaired Themyscira shore, speaking with Superman, who's come to offer support and admiration after this global crisis. Superman says, "You stood between gods and mortals and both followed you." Diana says, "This isn't about leading, it's about believing that compassion is strength," which makes Superman smile, and he says, "Then maybe there's hope for all of us." And Diana says, "There's always hope, we just have to fight for it." Superman flies off into the clouds. Diana watches him go, then turns back towards her people and the horizon beyond. And then we end the series. Grail sits silently in her cell in Argus. The lights flicker and a faint Omega symbol glows on the reinforced door, and we fade to black. So that's the season. What did you think? I mean, it's a 3-act season. The first act, the setup is belonging and the duality. The second act, episodes 4 to 6, is the escalation of the conflict and the pressure on both fronts. And then the resolution at the end is choosing identity and owning responsibility. We've included all the characters I wanted to include. I really wanted to include Cassie, I really wanted to include Grail, and really build out the Wonder Fam, if you like, and really build out Wonder Woman's world and some of the lesser known villains like Grail alongside Circe and Cheetah, people you'd expect to see in a Wonder Woman project. And then we also have Apocalypse, we potentially have Darkseid as a bigger bad if you want to do a bigger bad crossover towards the end. We've opened that sort of narrative potential, and we've also opened towards maybe another season with Donna and Cassie fully as Wonder Girl. Maybe we can do a Titans thing, maybe there's so many areas this can go. I'm really pleased with how this ended up coming out from my original idea, fleshing that out. But I want to know, what did you think? Did you like this idea? Do you have your own ideas? Drop a comment down below. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. If you haven't seen the original 5 characters who deserve my adventures with, check the link above and I'll catch you next time. Thank you so much.